Welcome to Mind the Gap, the podcast that explores the spaces between who we are and who we want to be. Those moments of reflection, growth, and transformation. This episode is about uncovering the tension between pride and humiliation, finding the lessons hidden in our most uncomfortable experiences, and asking how we can use both to become more grounded, resilient, and human. Here's Michael.
We've all been there. Those moments when the ground feels like it should open up and swallow us whole. Not the passing awkwardness of embarrassment, like stumbling over your words or forgetting someone's name. No, I'm talking about the deeper, more profound sting of humiliation. That soul deep ache when your sense of self, your carefully constructed image, feels like it's been shattered. It can be empowering to understand that humiliation doesn't live in the act, but in our interpretation of it. In the gap between who we think we are and how we believe the world sees us. If we're willing to look closely, it allows us to see that pride is often the root of this pain. Why does humiliation cut so deep? It's not just the external act, it's what it does to our inner story. Pride creates a version of ourselves that we hold on to, a version we protect, polish, and present to the world. When humiliation strikes, it feels like an attack on that version. But here's the challenge. Is it possible that the very pride we cling to so tightly is also the reason humiliation hurts so much? It's essential to make a distinction here. Embarrassment is a passing feeling, a moment of social awkwardness quickly forgotten by others, even if it lingers for us. It's essential to make a distinction here. Embarrassment is a passing feeling, a moment of social awkwardness quickly forgotten by others, even if it lingers for us. But humiliation runs deeper. It's not just about what happened, it's about what it means. Humiliation threatens the foundation of our self-perception. It's a loss of face, the crumbling of how we see ourselves and how we imagine others see us. Unlike embarrassment, which can sometimes lead to a laugh and move on, humiliation lingers. It challenges the very core of our identity.
People become attached to their burdens sometimes more than the burdens are attached to them.
George Bernard Shaw. This reminds us that humiliation is often magnified by our weight of pride. Think about a moment when you felt truly humiliated. Maybe during a presentation, a question or comment exposes something you hadn't prepared for. Or at a social gathering where you felt out of place or said something that didn't land as intended. At that moment, it felt like everything unraveled. The narrative of competence or confidence you'd built around yourself crumbled under scrutiny, or at least your perception of it. But here's the thing. The humiliation you felt wasn't entirely in the event itself. It was in the story you told yourself about what others must have thought, how they might have judged you, and how you failed to meet their expectations.
No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Eleanor Roosevelt. This emphasizes that the power of humiliation lies in how we internalize it. Let's talk about pride. Pride is often painted as a villain, but it's more complex than that. On the one hand, pride gives us a sense of accomplishment and self-worth. It motivates us to aim higher, create and stand tall. On the other hand, pride can also be our downfall. When it becomes tied to external validation, it turns fragile. It builds a pedestal. It makes every crumble feel catastrophic.
The price of greatness is responsibility.
Winston Churchill. Genuine pride comes with responsibility, grounded in effort and integrity, rather than an inflated sense of ourselves. But pride isn't inherently wrong. There's a distinction between healthy pride, rooted in values and growth, and hubris, inflated and defensive. Healthy pride, the kind that allows us to weather humiliation because it's rooted in who we are, not how others see us, is a powerful force for personal growth and resilience. Here's a paradox worth exploring. Some people actively seek humiliation. At first, it seems counterintuitive. Why would anyone willingly put themselves in situations where they risk a loss of face? But if we dig deeper, we find a fascinating connection to self-esteem. For some, seeking humiliation is a way to test their relationships or their sense of belonging. By exposing their vulnerabilities, they hope for reassurance from others, a comforting response that says, "You're still one of us."
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
Ralph Waldo Emerson. For these individuals, humiliation becomes a tool to reveal authenticity and connect deeper. Others, however, may seek humiliation to reject pride. It's a way to dismantle the ego, to rebel against societal expectations that demand perfection. For instance, public figures who admit their failures might seem to humiliate themselves. Still, in doing so, they often gain respect for their candor. And then there's the darker side. Those with low self-esteem who seek humiliation as a form of self-punishment. It aligns with their internal narratives of unworthiness, confirming the beliefs they already hold about themselves. Self-esteem plays a critical role in how we navigate both humiliation and pride. It's important to be aware of this, as it can significantly influence our experiences and reactions. Those with low self-esteem are more likely to internalize humiliation. It becomes proof of their inadequacies, a wound that reinforces their negative self-perception. Interestingly, those with high self-esteem may also seek humiliation, but as a way to challenge their ego. By facing vulnerability head-on, they remind themselves not to take their pride too seriously.
Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Winston Churchill again. Self-esteem grows when we balance our successes and our failures without tying our worth to either. On this podcast, we often turn to the Stoics, and they offer profound wisdom on how to approach humiliation and pride. They teach us to detach our sense of self-worth from external events and focus instead on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our character.
Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants.
Epictetus. This reminds us that pride often stems from craving admiration, and humility begins when we recognize that we don't need it to be whole. Humility, in the Stoic sense, isn't about thinking less of yourself, but of yourself less. It's about recognizing that our worth doesn't hinge on the opinions of others. By embracing humility, we can transform humiliation into a moment of resilience and pride into quiet confidence. Psychology offers practical strategies for navigating the pain of humiliation. Number 1, reframing. Look back at the moment with fresh eyes. Was it really as catastrophic as it felt? Often the answer is no. 2, grounding pride in values. Shift from pride rooted in external validation to pride based on effort, integrity, and growth. And 3, practicing self-compassion. Treat yourself like a friend. Forgive the missteps and focus on what you can learn. Sometimes the act of owning our humiliation, facing it, can become a moment of transformation. Humiliation and pride are two sides of the same coin. One reveals the cracks in our ego, the other builds the foundation for those cracks to exist. But what if we carried both lightly? What if we let go of the need to cling to pride or fear humiliation and instead saw them as opportunities to learn about ourselves? The next time humiliation arises, ask yourself, what's this moment teaching me about my pride? What part of me feels fragile, and how can I strengthen it? Because, in the end, humiliation doesn't have to break us, and pride doesn't have to blind us. Together they can show us who we are, if we're willing to look.
Humility is the solid foundation of all virtues.
Confucius. Mind the gap.
Thank you for spending time with us today on Mind the Gap. If today's episode made you think in a new way, why not share with someone else? A friend, a colleague, or anyone who might find this conversation valuable. Your recommendation helps us grow. For more insights or to catch up on past episodes, visit mindthegap.ia. And don't forget, sharing this podcast and spreading the word is the best way to support what we do. Thanks again for listening, and we'll meet you right here next time on Mind the Gap.